Just a little teeny piece.
After he said it, he was
like half of that. Let me have that little piece. Here. You can have that back.
You gotta milk with yours?
No, I have these already.
Here, Mandy, have that back.
Yes.
That is good.
Have you even had these?
Never.
Oh my god.
So you gotta have a little bit of a little
Oh,
bite.
but not during the show. I thought we
We're not doing the show.
Dude, my Facebook is being so slow in your house. I wanted to give a shout out to a lady who saw me at the vet clinic and said, "I love y'all's show. I watched the show."
Where were you? What?
John McCarroll's from Millie.
Are we leaving it open now? Or are you guys?
Maybe we have water now.
Yeah.
Hobby water? Hobby water now?
Have we water now?
Heavy water now.
That's Ebonics.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
That's
come back.
Spanish Ebonics.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah. That's Snowy.
Oh, because you know what he did? I think he does the voice.
Well,
Whatever.
No,
My-
that's exactly how he talks.
Mhm.
We have a water. Yeah. Hubby.
now, NAO.
NAO.
My Mexican guy says stuff in it like that, and I love, like, between him and my wife decoding the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I can do it in several different languages.
That's awesome.
Is it your Facebook that's the problem, or is it
No, it's the house. My Snapchat wouldn't work.
this house, Tom?
What's wrong with the house?
Switch it over to your
Your
regular.
Wi-Fi.
I'm taking my Wi-Fi off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's probably fine.
Well, don't
Oh,
blame the
slow
house.
shit.
It's the Wi-Fi.
But mine
Yeah, it's not the house.
Mine wouldn't work without the Wi-Fi.
If it was outside, it'd probably work
Oh,
fucking
right.
better. If I was outside
See, I
the
haven't
house.
got. I
don't
don't
think
think
so.
I have the new password for here.
The password is. I can't say that to my mother. Cable guy.
What's wrong with him?
Cable guy.
I don't remember that.
Cable guy. Cable guy.
I'm surprised he doesn't have his own comedy show by now.
I'm not. I'm really
Yeah.
stupid, actually.
Yeah.
These guys. You know what? Joe? Did you get the memo?
You know what?
Facebook, too.
I saved you and I saved us
On 17.
on 17 today.
He did.
So
He did.
Yeah.
He did save us on 17. He parred it for some miraculous reason. We were playing a 500-yard par 5, and the shortest hitter of the whole group pars it, and everybody else completely turns that hole into a train wreck. So kept us in the game.
You're the short hitter?
Nice.
I'm a short hitter, and I mean, are we taping? I'm a short hitter, and I hit. I mean, and it's
I
hard
heard that.
on my back. Like I had to come home and take aspirin because I golf with him and Cade and Cade's friend Jordan, and they can all hit it 300 yards.
Well, Jordan was a D1 scholarship athlete. He can hit it He hit a ball 340 today.
Yeah, and so then I try to. Like I overhit, and then I'm crippled for. I just try to kill it because I don't want to be that guy, you know. But I am anyway. But I did save us on 17. Felt good about that. So, what episode? What episode is this? Anybody know?
62, I think.
62ish.
Is it really? I was just
seriously.
joking.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
somewhere in that neighborhood.
Dude,
All right.
I can't believe we had 62 people that agreed to do this.
Well, we haven't. We've probably really only had about 55 because I think we've had a few of them twice.
55, that's pretty good. I didn't think you had that many friends. I mean, I know me and Joe did, but...
Yeah. I don't think they're all friends. I wouldn't call them all friends.
Yeah, you're right.
They wouldn't call me friends. I know that.
Okay.
Anyway, back for episode 62. And as always, we have Gunny Matheson,
Grow the show.
Joe Schmidt, and today our friend Brian Bell is here.
You're not a special guest, by the way. He always says special guest, but you're just Brian Bell.
Yeah,
friend.
but
Our friend. You said our friend.
our friend. I don't, special. I didn't want Brian to take it wrong.
Yeah.
I'd rather be a friend.
Yeah, no, that's good. You pass the test.
Good.
What have you been up to, Brian?
Coming off the Derby finals. You made the Derby finals, huh?
Made the Derby finals. Had a big train wreck in the finals. It was my,
You did?
my fault.
Oh, what happened?
Uh,
we love talking train wrecks.
Train
Maybe we
wrecks,
could get it on the bloopers show.
In,
Oh,
in
yeah.
about the length of this table, I had like 9 penalty points.
Really? What happened?
My plan was to come to the middle, slow down, and change all at the same time.
Uh-huh.
And I slid about 6 feet.
Yes.
Didn't change. Late lead changed.
Just killed yourself right there. You were going for the gusto and you went,
Yeah,
I had a good stop, good backup, turn both ways, good first set of circles. I'm like, here we go.
Yeah.
And then nothing.
Yeah,
And
no,
it goes-
I saw that and then quit watching after that. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah,
leaving.
that's how-
thanks
no,
for leaving me like
That's
that.
what Joe does. Yeah, Joe will stick
Next.
with you as long as you're doing good. He'll stick with
if
you.
there was
Check the draw.
if there was a skip button on the live feed, he would have skipped you right
Yeah,
then and
no,
there.
I did. I went
Like
right
Pandora.
Back to, went
Skip.
back to the draw, see who's next. Sorry.
They should do a gong, like after you got the certain amount of penalties, you just boom, you have to tip your hat and walk out.
Jason did.
That would get to be funny.
Yeah. Yeah, what happened to Jason again?
Jason stepped out of lead and couldn't get back in lead,
Yeah, that's right.
and he just pulled up and
Yeah, I talked to him about it. He said that ground was real fast finals night, and he just ran his horse a little too fast. That horse never falls out of lead either.
I think it was just a
blame-
bad step.
just
I
a
didn't
bad-
see anybody else step out of lead.
Yeah, but
can't
maybe-
be blaming the ground. Come on,
Yeah, but
guys.
maybe nobody else ran that fast after they saw him step out of lead. Maybe they all strategized.
No, I
Yeah.
think he just overran his horse.
Pretty sure not everybody was watching Jason, but
Jason
I,
thinks that everybody was watching Jason, but
I was
Look at
watching.
the back gate there, wasn't there?
I was watching Jason. I'm a big fan.
Oh no,
big
I'm
fan.
a big fan too. But there was nobody at the back gate.
that pattern is hard though. I mean, that's the hardest because I don't even. I mean, some guys slow down. Like there was.
We're
some
talking
guys
about
that slowed
pattern
down
9.
Early.
Yeah.
Pattern nine.
Some guys slowed down early and changed. Some guys hit it right in the middle, which obviously is the best part. But you guys are judges. How do you do that?
I hate when they slow down and change, especially in the finals, in the open finals. I mean, it's go time. You should be going for the gusto
I agree.
or the gong,
Yeah.
so to speak. And you crash and burn, but you did it. You went down the right way. You went down swinging hard.
trying.
Yeah.
I did it twice 2 days before, and he did it perfect. And I was like, okay, just leave
Got
that
it.
alone. And then
So now you need to know not to practice it the night before at all. Just pull it
no,
off.
next time I'm going to run wide open, change, and then slow down like the pattern says you should do it.
Oh, did you try to slow down before a little bit?
I
You tried to
tried to
change
slow it
and
and
slow
change
down.
all at the same time.
Gotcha.
So what happens? You guys, if you guys are judge, you're not. Are you a judge? So you and I-
Judgmental, but not a
Yeah,
judge.
yeah. You and I don't know anything about
You
that.
guys are both very judgmental.
Yeah, judgmental.
So if somebody slows down and if they come to the middle, do that perfect change, and don't have a great small slow on the other side, but then run 2 great large fast circles, can you still get it to a plus?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but maybe not a 1.
But you're the thing that you're doing though, you're really plussing the left set of circles because you're completing it. And when you slow down early, you're not really completing that set of circles. So to me, when the people slow down early, they're giving up points on their left circle to save their right circle. And I just wouldn't do it that way. I actually always try to change leads going fast and steer into a small fast circle, because usually if you take 2 strides, my horse usually slows down anyway. They're good-minded enough that they usually do it.
Yeah.
But
Well, like you said, finish that side.
finish the left side before you can move to the right, in my opinion.
But you can still get somebody to a plus if they run all the way to the middle, change the lead, but then
The
kinda
first
go a
quarter's
little bit
fast?
late, yeah,
And then they slow down nice? Yes.
you can still get them to.
I think absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But depending on how they do that first quarter, if they're doing that,
If it's willfully guided, but it
Yeah.
takes them a few strides,
willingly,
Yeah.
willfully.
yeah, whatever. I mean, if it's completely
Totally
dictated to,
different.
if they're completely dictated and
Dictated to completely.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to show off by doing it that way, and it just backfired.
Well, you have to in the finals. You have to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no
Oh,
some
that powder's
shows.
a pain in the butt. I hate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that pat. It's not my favorite unless I have one that steps out of lead, slowing down to the left.
Yeah.
And then you're in business.
Then you're golden.
Yeah, you just let them do it. Yeah, no doubt. But I thought
The thing I was actually most surprised about those open finals is that there were people playing it safe in that area, like trying to mark their 22 or 23. And if you look at the pay scale, it doesn't really pay. I mean, you got to, to me, at that horse show, you got to be top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you just try to be 15th? It just don't make sense.
Yeah, I think that's something, and I think the guys, the head guys at the NRHA are aware now, and maybe weren't aware of what that pay scale was going to look like. Like in the non-pro, I think it paid $50,000 to win the non-pro,
And
then
14
14 to be second.
To be second.
Yeah, and I don't think I think we have a good group on the EC right now, and I think they saw that, and I think they're going to try and make it better next year because that's too much.
What place was Mandy on her highest place in one?
5th or 6th, right?
I have no idea.
Just a guess.
Yeah,
And then
I think 5th or 6th.
what did
something
that
like that.
what did that spot pay?
I don't know.
I mean,
Mandy, what place were you at the Derby? Yes. This year, like I
No,
give a shit
no,
what
in
place she was-
2007.
It's like really. I'm not getting any answers.
yeah. But still, so I mean, hypothetically speaking, let's say she was 7th place. It paid $3,500 for 7th place.
Yeah, it wasn't
She
good.
was 6.
She was 6th place. It paid $3,500.
I think it did pay $3,500.
So,
Yeah.
like, just speaking out loud, what sense does it make to sell a non-pro horse, a non-pro reigning Derby horse for $100,000 to $200,000, sometimes more? What sense does it make for somebody to buy one, be 7th place at the Derby, and win $3,500?
So she won 7,600 for 6, but then she was 10th, and that one only paid 3,500.
Okay, so she won 7,600 for 6th.
Yeah.
Okay.
10th was 3,500, but
I mean, is it more about the participation and the being part of it, or?
I think so.
Yeah, you got it. There's a ton of value in that, but yeah, it is tough to pencil it out.
We've always been in our industry. It's always been driven by money, right? I mean, we've always when we look at our schedules, we look at where are we going because there's this much added here, this much added there. It's always been about money. What I pay for Carly's horses to win ribbons, I mean, it is
Apples
a
to oranges.
whole nother mentality over there. It's more. It costs a lot more there
Yeah.
to win ribbons. So I don't think it's it can't be all about the money. And we've been spoiled because that's how we are. I think the history of our industry has always been the futurity, whatever year it was when Craig Johnson won the first one that paid $100. That was a big deal. And I think, now we're all kind of locked into that, and the whole thing drives off of that. But I think the reality is, it's got to be about just wanting to do it and wanting to have fun, because it's hard to make. We can look at the 100. We got the run for $1 million pays $500,000. 100X is going to pay $150 to the open winner and $100 to the non-pro winner. I mean, there's so many places. The NRBC paid $100. The Derby paid $100. There's so many places where first place pays phenomenal.
So much.
But when you get down 4th, 5th, 6th, it's hard to make it. It's hard to make it pencil out. But I just don't think you do. I think why do
You're shooting for first.
why do you have a $8,000 stereo system in your $100,000 truck? You don't make any more money going down the road with a load of horses, right?
No, but it feels real good.
Yeah, it's not going to make you any money.
It feels good, don't it?
But that's my point.
I think a lot of people like like some of those older Derby horses that I had, like of my dad's, that were really nice horses. Like when I sold them, and I sold them all for good money, like they were like like heartbroken that I sold those 3 studs or 2 studs, and I said, why are you guys acting this way over selling these horses? I mean, they won 135, one 140 something, and you guys are unhappy about selling them for a lot of money. They said, well, you sold the fun.
Yeah.
They said, unless you got another one that comes into that gear, you sold the fun. They said, we'd go sit and, unless you had a wreck, you were going to be in the finals or whatever. And like I think a lot of people at the customers are older now, and like that, the fun factor is like more than anything that they want to do than.
Yeah, and it's exciting. I mean, I look at, Cade's clients. He's got a really good set of clients that play hard in this business, and they have as much fun buying a yearling and waiting for a couple of years. They enjoy writing the check to buy a special one, and then they'll wait a couple of years, and if it works, great. It's going to be even more fun, and if it doesn't work, let's get rid of them and buy another one, and it'll be fun again. I mean, I think that as trainers, we all have to. This is our living. This is the only way that we pay the light bill, and I think it kind of gets you jaded to, okay, well, this has got to work financially, and you got to make this pay for that, and but for those guys, it's all about having fun.
Yeah, being part of the whole deal in the process.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think it's with all the money now that's in all of these other things, it gets us a lot of attention and a lot of excitement. And even though it doesn't make sense a lot of times from 10th place on, it does down the road if you're showing a mare, and if you can have a mare that you can go win 50, 60, 70, 80, 100,000. I mean, I still think the magic number is 100,000 for a mare. If you tip one over that 100,000 mark, I mean, they're worth a lot. Their babies are worth a lot. The breeding business, it's not just about buying that one horse, taking him to a horse show and making it work. I mean, there's still the whole breeding business and the whole thing that has the trickle down. You think that's right, or?
Yeah,
sure.
That makes more sense.
So I think it's all great, and I can remember a time, shoot, Gunny, when you first started, what did we have? Oh, and you're in the same era. I mean, you're a couple of years behind me, but not a lot. And we had, what did we have? How old are you?
I'm getting ready to be 50 in August.
Not a lot. So what did we have then? We had the Derby, the Futurity, and the Congress, and maybe one pre-Futurity somewhere. And now you can go to a big horse show every weekend. I mean, when you look at, so we just went to the Derby, and then the next weekend Cade went to the Paint World, and then when is the Reining by the Bay?
Just a couple of weeks.
Next week, yeah.
Yeah, so next week. And then there's Ocala.
You got Florida.
Yeah, and then and this is just for us. I
Then
mean,
there's the
during
Run for
Ocala, there's the Rocky Mountain, there's the North Central, there's futurities everywhere. But for us, it's Ocala, home for a week or 10 days, then the Run for $1 million, and then we come home and go back to Tulsa, and then we go back to the High Roller, and then we come home and have the Legacy Sale on Saturday, and on Sunday our horses leave for the Congress. I mean, it's crazy now. It's a good thing. I mean, it's great. I think it gives all of our horses a lot of value. I think it's a really good thing, and I know for a 23-year-old like Cade, he can't wait for them to open the gate. He didn't care where it is. He wants to be there and walk through the gate, and he wants to have 15 show horses and never, that's his ideal. And
He told me he's showing 16 at Tulsa.
Yeah,
He's showing
probably.
16 horses at Tulsa between the 2 Futurities and the Derbies there.
Last year was the first time in my life that I think I actually started cribbing on a steering wheel, because there were so many shows over and over. And I like to go horse show, and there were so many of them that were back together. back to back, I was like, God, I'm getting worn out from going.
Yeah.
And I like to go.
What were you doing on the steering wheel?
Cribbing.
Oh, cribbing.
Cribbing on the steering wheel.
Gotcha.
I thought he said gripping.
No, I'm cribbing on the steering wheel.
I heard cribbing.
I needed a cribbing strap.
Yeah.
Nerd that one.
But I think some of those older horses, looking back at some of those, I don't think we gave them credit enough. Like some of those older horses that won 100,000 or 150,000 or whatever back then, because I mean your big chance was at the Futurity, NRBC, and the Derby, and if you didn't get it done in the 4 years that you had to do it at that time, then you just didn't get
3 years that you had to do it at the time. It was
Yeah.
3-year-olds and 4- and 5-year-old Derby horses.
Yeah, I mean, like you had to get
And if
serious.
it wasn't the Futurity, honestly, if it wasn't the Futurity, it wasn't happening, because I remember being 10th place at the NRHA Derby with a brand new client, came over from the cutting horse world, and I'm 10th place in the Derby, and they called out, I won $800. I mean, if you didn't do it as a 3-year-old, there was nowhere else to go. And now, I mean, everywhere. I mean, there's so much money out there, and is it sustainable? I don't know, because right now, you know, we stand a lot of studs, and right now the studs are bearing the stallion owners are bearing the brunt of it right now for a lot of those events. Is it maintainable? I'm not sure, but hopefully those stallion owners and those programs get the ball rolling. And I think we've already seen more people come into the industry because of that. So maybe that can just get the ball rolling and kind of snowball it into having more outside sponsors and more people involved.
Do you think they should keep Derby horses 4 years old to 7 years old like they are now? Derby was pretty big. I mean, there was 300 in the open and 300 in the non-pro.
I think they should separate the 4-year-olds.
And why do you think that?
Well, because
I'm not saying you're wrong.
well, the 4-year-olds that compete at the Derby or the NRBC, you know, they just got done with the Futurity, and then going in there and competing against a 5-year-old or more, that 5-year-old's had since probably September, if he went to the high roller, off, you know, all the way until June. And I think that horse is just sounder and stronger and, you know, bigger and everything else. I mean, I think there's a few of the, you know, 4-year-olds that can really get in there and hang with them like that. But, you know,
I think if the argument is, and I've researched it a little bit because, you know, with the NRBC, we've looked at
4-year-olds.
We've looked at the numbers. Yeah, there's probably more 4-year-olds in the finals than any other age group, and I agree with you. If we could have the 4-year-olds be in their own class and not have to stress them quite as hard, and then they would be better as 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. But that's not going to happen, right? Because they're still in their own class. They're still going to have to go just as hard as they go now. And now we have the 100X.
What if their own class wasn't at the NRBC or the Derby? What if there was no 4-year-old major event until after the Derby? What if the NRBC and the Derby was just for 5, 6, and 7-year-olds?
Right. And the first 4-year-old event was maybe in August at the 100X.
Yeah,
made you save.
What if the industry forced you to save your 4-year-old?
Yeah.
Well, at the Derby, the 4-year-old part of it is in the first go-round.
Yeah.
So he's got to run wide open for that.
Which anymore, if you want to make the finals, you kind of got to do that anyway. And speaking of that, changing the subject a little bit, when you look back at the NRBC and the Derby, it's amazing to me how much difference an arena makes. Because coming home from the NRBC, I told Mandy and Kate, I said, I think we're going to have to start crossing some of these studs on thoroughbred mares, because you're running wide open. I mean, it was tough. The NRBC, and I'm not saying the Derby wasn't just as tough, but in that pen, it was a little, it wasn't quite as
that big
fast.
arena. You can just show them off so much better because you got so much more room, and you can just, like most of our arenas we ride in at home are bigger than the Coliseum in Oklahoma City.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And to me, it's easier to 1.5 a circle. It's easier to 1 or 1.5 a stop because you got 300 and something feet. I mean, Oklahoma City's just harder to do that in. It's not good or bad. It's the same for everybody. But in fact, I'm not sure it's not a nice step back for some of those horses. I don't know how it would be if we ran them that hard, like 2-3 times in a row.
Yeah.
We kind of have a step back at the Derby, and then where we go to Vegas. That pen's not so big. Really, Tulsa is there other pens we go to that are that size?
No, I think that's the biggest, right?
Yeah, other than the Raining by the Bay, but it's kind of a localized deal. I mean,
Right. Lexington, Virginia used to be a big pen.
Virginia's big. Yeah.
Wasn't Ocala pretty big too, or no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ocala's big.
Real big. Yeah. I'm not sure. Did you go to Ocala last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty big pen.
You can get lost out there. Yeah, it's real. I'm not sure Ocala's not bigger than Tulsa.
Where's your next horse show at?
Colorado.
Denver. That's a big pen.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's a real big pen too.
You got some 3-year-olds going out there?
I'm gonna show 2 out there, and then I'm gonna send my trailer home. They're gonna put new horses on it, and I'm gonna fly to Florida and go to Florida.
He's gonna be cribbing the plane.
Back seat.
Yeah, he's gonna
my
put
son
your
is.
seatbelt on.
Don't say that real loud because the kid's gonna do the same thing then.
My son is gonna be. He's gonna be the one driver that drives the whole way, but we're gonna get him a fresh relief driver when he gets to Texas, and
Like Pony Express.
yeah,
I see you just had a birthday yesterday, right?
yeah, 23 years old.
23. Fresh off of being an assistant from Stone Ranch.
No, my son is.
Oh,
23.
your son. Yeah. And he won a trophy at the last horse show.
Green Rainer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the first
at the
time he
Derby,
showed.
right?
Yeah, Green Rainer. No,
First time he showed.
the first time was at the NRBC, and then
Okay.
this was the second and third time, and he won the Green Rainer. Second one day and won it the next day, and won the Green Rainer buckle
Oh, right on.
thing. And he was pretty excited.
That's cool. Right on.
I mean, he probably hadn't ridden a horse maybe 100 times in his life. He just kind of decided that there's a lot of girls at the horse show, and I'll go ride the horses.
Isn't that why we all did it?
Yeah.
Well, now you had a good Derby too, Gunny, right? You won a bunch of stuff, and then you
I
won
had a
stuff.
great,
then-
yeah,
then you
I had a
won
great
stuff at the
derby. I
paint
marked
show.
214 in the derby. Yeah, it was great.
No,
I'm a
no,
4-year-old.
no, you
Yeah.
won the ancillary class.
Yeah,
on
I
your
won the
Alpha
6,000.
Cars
I
trip.
won the 6,000 at it open there. Yeah, it was good. It was
And then
fun.
you won the Paint World.
I won the Open at the Paint World. They have a 2,500 added Open at the Paint World for an NRHA show. It's an NRHA show stacked in with the 4, 5, and 6-year-old challenge stuff they have and the 3-year-old challenge stuff. So I saw that it was 2,500 added for the Open and 1,000 added for the intermediate, and I said, I'm throwing Old Faithful on the trailer and going down there and showing.
Yeah.
I left at 3 in the morning. I was draw 23, and I was almost last in the draw, and I marked 22 and won the Open down there.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
So now, how far away are you from $1 million?
$6,700.
Yeah, 6,700.
I mean,
That's going to take a couple of years to get that.
at last year's pace, yes, it's going to take a couple years. At this year's pace, I'm getting it
You're
soon.
doing all right.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
I mean, I'm not counting the dollars and cents, but I have it,
Yeah,
I have
you're
it
not.
calculated right
Yeah.
in the phone.
Yes, he is.
like
Is that
not.
your wallpaper comes up every day? 6,700.
It's not a wallpaper, but I do have a screenshot of my last total. You guys, not that I'm not keeping track of the dollar 38 cents too. 67.80 and 38 cents. Not that I'm not keeping track, you know. So I almost went to Graham this weekend. I still might. There's a 900 added open derby there on Sunday. I might try to go win my $350 there. And no, I'm probably not going to do that. No.
Yeah, you just got to trailer race that last 6,700. Just go everywhere.
Yeah, no, that derby was good. And then I went to the Paint World with Cade, and I ended up third on Monica's mare. I won $5,000 on her, and I got the last check in the Open on Alan and Allison Chappell's mare, but I was second or third in intermediate on her. So I ended up winning $8,200 at the Paint World. And I was there for 3 days. 3 days in a row. We got up at 3 a.m., drove down there, showed the horses, came home at noon, and ended up leaving there with $8,000.
That's cool.
9,000 because Monaco won.
That's who I should get to show some of my 3-year-olds. I mean, he's motivated.
Yeah, right.
I'll show some. I'm level 3 too. I'll go to Denver. I got a 3-year-old going to Denver.
Come on, let's go.
I'm going to Denver too, you guys. And I'm gonna be cribbing on the steering wheel too, Cody. I'll help him drive. I know how to crib.
How many? So you're going all? How many horses do you have in training now?
90.
I think like 55.
Yeah. And how many people you have riding?
4.
Yeah, that's plenty for everybody, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, my wife this year, she broke 26 2-year-olds.
Wow.
And Eduardo breaks a lot of them, and I mean it's crazy. Like I even had some this year. I told people, I said, I don't have stalls for them to live in. I said, if you want to bring them, they can go in a pen outside for a little while until we get a stall. And they, okay, just put them in a pen. And I had probably 10 or 12 living outside, and Jared had probably 10 or 12 living outside.
I think it's almost better.
And with the 2-year-olds,
outside,
2-year-olds, I think it was probably better for them.
Yeah.
I think they could all live outside. It would be better.
Yeah, we have 2 big pens where we keep a lot of our 2-year-olds outside. Yeah, I think for sure they ride better than if they're in a stall. Without
Until
a doubt.
you have to put shoes on them, then they kind of have to come in. But.
Yeah. Well, theoretically, I mean we've had them out, and then I mean I've never had a problem having shoes on one. Turned out. I mean, the biggest problem is they pull them off outside all the time. Shoes fall off, but that's really it. You guys have a lot of. Your dad has a lot of mares and babies.
Yeah, like we have probably between his yearlings, my yearlings, and customer yearlings, I think we have like 32 or 3 yearlings.
Wow.
At our place that are for sale.
Yep. Gunny Matheson has 20 or 30 yearlings for sale and 20 or 30 babies for sale.
Well, I drove by the other day. I was going to stop, but I thought you guys were going to be busy. So.
We're never too busy for shoppers, Joe. You're always welcome there.
Busy too. So.
No, you're not that busy. You're passing up on your next champion.
No, I'll stop. I'll stop by.
You
I'll
probably
drop you guys some legacy consignment forms later.
Yeah, we'll put some in the legacy sale for sure. And then I just saw recently you acquired Kalina's Finest Taffy back. That's kind of cool, huh?
Yeah, it was cool. A friend of mine, Chris Holmes, called me earlier this year, and he said there's a yearling over at Toyon for sale by No Smoking Required out of her. He sent me a picture of her, and I went and looked at her, and a sorrel filly with 4 white socks and a blaze. And we bought her, and about 2 or 3 weeks later, he said, we could flush an embryo out of her. I said, okay. And then he called me back the next day. He goes, we could just buy her if you want to. And she's 20 years old, and so we just bought her. And the deal was she came with another No Smoking Required embryo, and we bought a downright amazing breeding to her. So
cool.
I hadn't actually seen her in 16 years. Like I showed her when she was 3 and 4 and then retired her.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if we can make good babies.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, there's two different ways to look at the whole. We have a lot of yearlings at our house, all you guys, but some of our clients have just said, you know what, I'd rather go. Okay, I know if I'm going to go buy the one that I want, it's going to cost $200, $250, $300, whatever it's going to cost. I'd rather just do that and know what I'm getting. But there also has to be that feeder to get those horses. And I still think right now that's the only way guys like us can play with the numbers of horses that we have and develop the 2-year-olds and do the whole thing is by buying those yearlings. Because how else? For one, just to have enough horses around. If you're just going to buy the great ones, you're not going to have very many horses in your barn because the great ones are few and far between. And 250 or 300. There's a lot of people out there, they can be living, we've said this before, they can be living in a single wide. They're not selling their best futurity horse.
Right.
And I don't blame them because even at 200, if let's say you come to my house and you want to buy my best 3-year-old and it costs 200 or 250, well, you give me 250 and you and I split a 10% commission. We get $12,500 a piece.
Yeah, yay.
That's like saying you can't win more than that.
Yeah. I mean, you do that and you lose the income, you lose the training horse, you lose. I mean, there's not a ton of incentive for a trainer to sell them unless they own them.
Yeah. Well, then it makes it harder to get up in the morning when you don't have that one that you really like.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
I try to invest in a lot of horses because I want to have the inventory.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm not getting all the inventory sent to me. So,
right.
In order for me to make and create the business, I have to have something that Brian Belt wants, or something that Joe wants, or something that Tom wants. So, I'm making it work myself, and I have customers that have a lot of nice horses with me, and I make it work for them too. But I'm trying to do a lot of it myself to pay for my stuff. So
yeah, a lot of the good ones I've ever had, we either bred them or bought them, like as a young 2-year-old or something like that. But part of the thinking with this mare was I didn't think that she had been bred correctly yet, and so I thought it'd be fun that at 20 years old, if I could kick her into gear, it would make a great story if it works.
I'd make a great story just because she's back in your hands and you showed her and you know what she was and how she was and you know what kind of stud she'd probably cross on the best. Yeah. So
I was looking back at it the other day and I was like, I think I did like all of that wrong with her when I.
You told me that at the Derby.
Yeah, like
training on her, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I got her.
It.
I got her in March the 20th of her 3-year-old year. She could lope around, but she couldn't stop or turn. Didn't really give her face. The guy that was training her gave her to me and said, "This mare's crazy." And I started riding her, and for some crazy reason, showed her the first time July the 10th. From March. That couldn't stop or turn, and my ex-wife, when I told Monica that I would take her, she said, "You've lost your mind." She goes, "This doesn't resemble a reining horse." And I thought, yeah, she didn't know what she's talking about. And then, so I showed her that fast and marked a 223 on her. Then I took her to Tulsa and marked a 22.5 on her. And then I went to the Congress and I marked a 21, a 26.5 on her. And then I took her to the futurity and was a 21, a 24.5, and a 26.5 and was second. And then she was done. Like, yeah, showed her. I think I made the NRBC finals with her, and then I showed her somewhere else and made the finals with her. But like, she was kind of cooked after that. But like, I was young.
I was horrible. That sounds like a horrible plan, marking all those.
Yeah.
No, but
I March.
But if I would have been patient and you know, done good at the Congress like I did. Waited.
But now it's easier because you have bigger things after the futurity, the Derby, and then NRBC. You got the Run for the Million. You got a qualifier for it. You got the 100X. Like there's no urgency now to get it all while you can.
Yeah.
And then there still was, because when you were showing her, the NRBC and the Derby was only 4 and 5 year olds.
Right.
That's it. So you had to nuke them to get all the money out of them that you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing that was funny is the kid that broke her, brought Wimpy's little chick to me and said, if you thought she was crazy, he said, this one's insane. And I mean, I think Sean won $520,000 with her, but the first time I took a hold of one rein on her, she ran as far as she could run until she hit a wall, and then took the other rein and she ran the other way. And I wish I could remember that kid's name, because it'd be fun if he had another crazy one.
Who did he work for? Double Run?
Double Run.
Yeah. Mm.
But
yeah, he doesn't sound very good.
if I knew his name, I wouldn't.
If you know your name and you're out there and you have a crazy one,
if you have a crazy one,
call Brian Bell. We only want the crazy ones.
Put our numbers up on the screen.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like I've got the 5-year-old that I showed at the Derby this year. I bought him as a 3-year-old, and he was very, very green, but I thought he was a nice horse. Had him close to ready last year as a 4-year-old to show, and I was going to take him to Vegas, and he was a little off, so I didn't. Finally, this year at the Derby, I'm like, okay, I got to show him somewhere, because I can't own him forever, and I got to at least see what he is. Took him there. I wasn't great. I mean, he was very green still. I marked 17.5, but because there's still so much, I just told Mandy, okay, that's good for me.
He's worth the time now.
Yes. Yeah. He horse showed. He looked good in there. Okay, now let's just get him solid, keep him sound, do all of that, and have him ready, because there's still the 6 and 7-year-old year, which is still a big deal. So at least I have something to work with. And that, like we said before, that used to not be the deal. I mean, and I don't know. So it might have been a freckle before your time, but not much. We used to go to the Congress when the futurity was at the Congress, and then come home and start our 2-year-olds. You remember that?
That was a little bit before my time.
Yeah. We used to go to the Congress.
You'd start the 2-year-olds after, like, they'd be more than halfway through their 2-year-old, almost 3.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. We'd come back and start working on our 2-year-olds after the Congress.
And if somebody then told you they start them after the futurity now, when they're sometimes yearlings, they'll ride them in December.
A whole year earlier.
Yeah. What would you say? Yeah, they're crazy. Why would they do that? Or
well, I mean, I think the thing is, there's a whole bunch of things that have evolved. You know how much we'd have won 30 years ago if we knew then what we know now?
Yeah.
I mean, so the whole training has evolved. I think if you don't get 3 to 5% better every year, you fall behind. And, I mean, everybody's getting better all the time. And there's a whole new, for a little while, for a very short time, there was the same group of guys. There was Sean and Craig and you and me, and I can name, Dwayne, 10 other guys. And you didn't really see another group coming up behind us. It was like, okay, where's this going to go? Because pretty soon this group that's winning everything is going to get too old to do it. Where's this going to go? Well, now we know where it's going. There's all these young guys coming up behind that are putting the pedal to the metal and putting the heat on everybody now. It's just changed. And part of it is, I think, more access to better horses. But part of it is more access to information. Yeah. I mean, they can go anywhere. When I was 18, 19 years old, I went to Italy because there was no jobs here. I went to work over there and was over there for 3 or 4 years because it was hard to find a job. You had to compete for a job. And now you can fog a window and get a job. You know, I mean, it's just or a mirror. I mean, it's just completely changed.
I don't know about that guy though that sent you the video the other day.
Oh, that was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you give him a job?
No.
The only reason he didn't fog a window is because it was too hot there, I imagine. It wasn't possible.
I don't know. That whole
Yeah, well, let's not go too far. Let's not go too far into the story.
Oh, he doesn't want to embarrass anybody.
Yeah, let's not.
That was a good video.
It was, yeah.
Good try.
The intentions were phenomenal.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, but you know, even there's been times I probably would have given him a shot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're in pretty good shape right now, but I mean, there's been times where probably we've all been desperate enough where we're like, he stayed on for a couple of circles. I think he's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
He'll make it.
Yeah. I think we can work with that.
Yeah, he can saddle one.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just changed so much. We're all hunting help. Like if somebody comes along that's a good youth kid that wants to be a trainer, they can pretty much write their own ticket if they've got a good head on their shoulders and can ride at all. You know, they can go anywhere.
And ride good horses.
Yeah.
The horses that we were riding back when we started were.
Oh my gosh.
It's so different now.
So different.
I only rode good horses when I started. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
When's the last time you rode a horse that when you went and showed it, like it really, really ran off? I mean, like, remember how they used
2004 for me.
No, remember how they used...
His name was Lil Rough and Classy. I rode him in a whisper bit, which was a mistake, and he grabbed that thing like it was a sucker, and if there wasn't a fence there, he would have ran from Rantoul, Illinois, all the way back to Texas.
2000.
But think about that, I mean, you have sometimes you go in there, well, that didn't work, like it could, but like when we talk about run off, like
people have no idea.
You talk about like when you come by and the judge does like that in chair 3.
I can't remember the year, but it was 20 years ago probably. I marked a 22 on one in the first go around of the futurity back when there wasn't a lot of high scores. I mean, I was in the top 4 or 5 of the go around, and there wasn't a ton of them chasing you. You know, you had a lot of room. I think I only had to mark like a 15 to make the finals. And that thing ran off so bad. There was several times, like, I don't know. I'm thinking as I'm showing, do I pull up? Do I two-hand him? Am I going to get around? I mean, but I had to keep showing because maybe I could sneak off a 15 and be right there.
Work.
Yeah. 2:06.
Running with your legs stuck out to the
Oh
side.
my God.
Looks like you're riding a chopper coming around there.
It was horrible. But you're right. We don't really see that a lot.
No.
That was so common 25 years ago. Like just plumb runoff. And you don't really see that anymore. You're right. You can see one going around the ends, you know, coming up, running to their stops or doing something. But circling, you don't really see it, and I don't know why. Did we change our pattern? It seems to me like a lot of horses would be loping a circle and want to take off down the side.
Well, I think part of that is like when you used to come to the middle and your lead change was lift up and dump them over and kick them in the belly at the same time. I mean, now they all change leads like
yeah. And you remember the pattern we ran at the futurity where you would change leads and run straight down to your, like there was no going around. You'd change your second lead
pattern,
and go run
pattern 2.
And stop.
Pattern 4 or something.
Pattern 2, that would make them run off like the Kentucky Derby. I mean, like, because you only had about 5 strides before that you needed to be running wide open.
Was that what pattern that was?
Pattern 2 and pattern 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you just hail a man right and just kick him in the belly and run down there and stop. Throw their head up, and it was awful.
Roll back and then turn and run wide open again.
Yeah, it was awful. And, but I think part of the problem was we were so, the horses are much better now, but we were so far behind on horse training where we are now. I mean, now horses, you can go look at the horses that we show as 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds walk over to the ancillary pen, and there's a whole bunch of them still showing as 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know, probably had some schooling at some point.
But they're still pretty good.
But they're still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I wished when I was a kid, going to all the North Carolina quarter horse shows, like there was all these great horse trainers that did the Western Pleasure, like Dale Livingston and Troy Oakley and Larry Little and a lot of those guys like that, and they had their horses in the bridle and were changing leads and whatever. And I mean, I didn't, know enough to look and watch what they were doing, but like, at that time nobody would move their hip over to do anything or whatever, and you would just kick them off into a lead departure and go. And like, I wish I would have learned how to do that earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when Brett Stone came with Boomernick, and I was talking to Sam Smith, and he said, "Yeah, I was over there and watching Brett ride that horse over across the street, and he changed 30 leads on that horse." I couldn't believe it. He just kept changing leads on that horse. I said, "Well, it looks like he changes leads pretty good." I said, "It's probably he's doing it for that reason." And Sam was just like, because none of us did it then. I mean, it was all like just timing.
It was just getting lucky, more or less.
Yeah. I asked Tim McQuay one time, I said, "How often do you change leads on your horses?" He said, "Once a week." I mean, now you change them
every day.
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And outside of, I think the West Coast really brought a lot of that, brought them up, change the leads, push your hip around, do all that stuff. I think a lot of that came from the West Coast. I think the East Coast had BH, who did everything on timing. I mean, obviously he also got them trained very well, but so much of it was on timing, and some of that group. But I think it's just like where it is right now is, it makes me wonder sometimes, where are we going? Where are we going? I don't think we've seen, I think if you look back maybe 10 years, some of those runs are still competitive today. I think the slowdown, like we went from 30 years ago to 10 years ago, it went straight to here, and then it's kind of leveled off a little bit, because how much can they do? They can only do so much.
Yeah, I would say it has leveled off except for the volume of animals that are at that level.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. 100%.
So it's harder for judges to separate them.
Yeah.
Scores are closer on, there's 50 horses, 60 horses that mark a 19 or 18 and a half or higher when it takes a 20 and a half to make the finals. There's so many horses that are close.
So at the Derby, a 19 and a half missed the finals by half a point. 21 made the finals easy, right? There's 45 horses in that, and that's a half a point a judge.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be where there was 20 horses that judged themselves. I mean, they just stood out, and you couldn't miss those 20. And then there was the next 20 that you had to pick 10 from. And now there's 100 out there that on any given day can mark a big enough score to make the final. What do you think?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest thing right now is and such good horses. I mean, they just.
I think more and more we all are learning how to train them better, and like I catch myself asking, questions to people all the time, and like a couple of years ago I saw Casey Deary doing something, and I'm like,
"What are you doing?"
I said, "Casey, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen."
Yeah.
And he looked at me and laughed, and I said, "Seriously, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen." I said, "What are you doing?" He's going along. He'd come around the end, and his horse was starting to turn the corner for him a little bit, and he would just waller it back around like a 4-H'er, back and forth, and he kept doing it until the horse wouldn't try to help him go around the end. And I said, "What's that supposed to do?" He said, "Well, it just lets me hold him a little bit so I can turn and go." And I won $90,000 on my dad's stud because of that, because he was
doing the stupid
he was
thing
starting to
Casey
get smart at that.
Yeah.
So then I saw Casey the next day, I said, that stupid thing you were talking about the other day, I said, that really works. But
yeah. No, we're all getting smarter about training for sure.
I mean, you see like people helping each other more. Like, you're getting ready to show against each other the next day, and you're like, hey, can you stop my horse, or can you turn it, or do whatever to it? And I think.
And there's a million different ways. Well, not a million, but there's a lot of different ways and styles to get a horse to do, what they do right now. There's a lot of people I can't follow that they can go mark a 225, and if I get on them, I have a hard time making them do the maneuvers. There's so many different ways to get there. But you and I talked a few years ago, and you said something that I've never forgot. When you get a horse, you may not remember this, but we were talking about when you get a horse from somebody or send a horse to somebody, you never really you don't judge somebody off of if a client takes a horse from you and sends it to me. I'm not going to judge your horse training on how I get along with that horse, because you said I wouldn't want them to judge me off of, because he's half the time. I think it's super common for us halfway through the year or at a horse show to go, what in the hell have I been doing? We do that to ourselves, let alone somebody else. So I think I've never forgotten that. So every time I get a new horse, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not gonna judge their horse training off of this horse, because they might not like them either.
Yeah, I gave one to Mike McIntyre one time, and I'm like, just so you know, this is not how I like for it to be trained.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
None of this feels good to me.
Yeah.
I said just.
And then he made the finals on it.
Yeah, he.
Yeah, that's what Mike does. He's good.
Yeah, he said, oh, she'll be fine. he just went through it and it was fine.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, Mike's one of those guys that I think he's pretty good at just climbing aboard and making it work.
What about your 3-year-olds that you're showing? You're going to Denver and Florida. Or you got like a string that's Denver or Florida, or you got them picked out yet, or are you just going to let them answer that question?
I think the horses will answer that question a lot, but
you got something though that you're excited about?
My favorite one is a Perlino mare.
Cool.
That's a Whiskey and Diamonds out of Lonely at the Top.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And she acts like she is the real deal. I have her. I have a Voodoo Gelding, 2 shine chick shines, a gelding and a stud. Actually, her brother owns the stud. I'm trying to see if I can keep it because it's really nice. And then I have a Gonna Trash You mare.
Remind me to call my brother.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on?
Yeah, I probably should. He'll be gone before I get home.
Yeah, you're going to get the call and drive home.
So when you go to an early futurity, and I know every time we walk through the gate, we want to be the winner. But when you put them in the trailer to go there, what's your main focus? You want to go there to be the winner, or are you going to try and make them better for the next one and the next one? Is your goal that horse show, or is your goal the futurity at the end of the year?
When I was younger, I wanted to win the weekend futurity in Perry, Georgia. Now, if it's one that I think is capable of going to the open futurity, I'll take it. And if it can turn it big. Cruise my circles a little bit and then run and stop it. Just, more than anything, check it out to see if it's a show horse.
Right.
Sometimes I have those ones that you go along and show it the first time, and whether it shows good or not, you're like, this is our last time together. And
yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is the last dance.
I think that's part of what those pre-futurities are about, is figuring out what you have, or sometimes going to the first one and saying, this is nowhere close to what I thought it was, and trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like how they ride at home is a whole different thing when you get to the horse show and the lights are on all night and there's a lot of activity and the arenas are busy, and you're adding a little bit more pressure because you're trying to get this right and trying to get that right. Which ones are going to stick with you, and which ones are going to go, this isn't for me. And I think that's, for me anyway, that's where you learn that. And some of my, like, I get the most nervous showing one I like the first time. Has nothing to do with how good I'm going to do. It has to do with, man, I love this horse. If he walks in there and runs off, I'm going to be so sad. I'm going to be so disappointed.
Break your heart.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure we've all had it happen. I mean, we've all been lied to at some point in time.
Oh, you think of the amount of time that it takes to get from that little 2-year-old that's just easing around there to like, okay, put your big girl panties on and let's roll. And
yeah, you spend all that time and you're thinking, oh, I got it. And then they go in the gate and you don't have it.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah, for sure. Well.
And then those 3-year-olds, they hit those highs and lows and stuff. You go along, sometimes and like 2 of my 3-year-olds this year, like after the NRBC, just decided to grow hair like billy goats.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, seriously?
In the 100-degree weather, just
oof. We're body clipping a couple tomorrow. Actually.
Yeah, and like.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, quit sweating right when it's hot.
Well, it's not long now. I mean, and it's the rest of the year goes so fast. Like you said, it's bam, Denver, Colorado, or Denver, Ocala, the Million. Doesn't stop. Are you going to the Million and the High Roller?
I think I'm gonna skip the High Roller. I'm just gonna go to the Million. I've got 2 I'm gonna show there.
Yeah. You got any 4-year-olds for the 100X?
I've got one that is eligible, and I don't like him.
Yeah.
But
currently searching for a 4-year-old for the 100X. Brian Bell, call him. 580. Something, something, something.
I was gonna be impressed if he knew my full number. I was like
555. What's the movie number?
Yeah, 555.
Yeah. Well, Brian, thanks for popping in.
Yeah.
It's always fun. I think we're living in a perfect time right now. I mean, I think everybody, all the new guys in this industry are so fortunate, and us, because it's so good right now. The broodmare business, the babies, the horse showing, everything is so good right now. And the thing is, it used to be like your 4-year-old that you don't know that he's good enough. We used to call the horse trader and sell him for $3,500. We'd ask him $7,500.
Bill Richardson.
Yeah. They'd offer us $3,500, and did you bring your trailer?
You take him to pay.
I always hated it when the horse trainer came in without his trailer because I was ready. Now that same horse can bring 25, 30, 35,000, depending on. I mean, if he's a good mover, he can sell him as a ranch rider. If he's got the right look and he's bred right, you can sell him as a rope horse. I mean, there's so many places to go, and not to knock any other discipline or any other thing, but our horses can do so much. I mean, they're the perfect soldiers to be able to go be riding horses, rope horses, just whatever you want to do. And I think that's really one of the reasons our deal's so good right now.
It's good.
Yeah, it's the amount of options that you have is so different than what you used to. I mean, they're
mounted shooting.
Mounted shooting. I've never done that. You ever mounted shot
No.
mounted?
You ever mounted shooting before? Good.
No,
Good
sir,
times.
I have not, but I know some people that have, and they say it's fun.
Man, shooting.
Yeah. Had a couple drinks now. What's the proper way to?
It's over.
Have you ever?
Mounted shot? I don't know.
Yeah, so
mounted shooting.
Have you ever participated
You're not so
in
smart now, are
mounted
you?
shooting?
I don't know. Yeah, have you ever mounted?
Have you ever done some mountain shooting?
I think maybe have you ever gone mounted?
Mounted shooting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there.
Probably good.
no.
Yeah. Have you ever gone mounted?
I
shooting?
think it's time to close the show, and Brian
Yes.
Bell's making the most sense.
Yeah. If he's our barometer, we're in trouble.
I've sipped my drink, and you guys.
We were golfing before this, and it wasn't going so good. We had a couple there too. I'm not gonna lie. Shout out to April Watts that saw me at Dr. McCarroll's vet clinic. She's a big fan of our show. She told me what a big fan of our show she is, so thought I'd shout her out. And I'll shout out other people that say they're a big fan of our show too.
Yeah.
In person though.
Hey, you know what? At the end of the day, we started doing this because
COVID. We were bored.
We were bored.
Yeah.
But we keep doing it because of all the people that come up to us all the time at the horse show and say, "Watch all your shows," and that's why we do it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a lot of fun for all of us to.
Some of those stories that are being told are cool stories that that get lost if you don't do a show like this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. No, we need to get like Sam Smith back on and tell some more BH stories and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah, it's we need to get a couple of guys that have that worked for BH, and we're gonna do that at some point, because it's a shame that was the guy. I mean, when I was growing up, BH was the guy, and not just the guy, but there's a lot of stories.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
colorful, very colorful guy.
he's the guy.
Yeah. So anyway,
Grow
all
the
right.
show.
Thanks, Brian.
Grow the show.
thank you.